People that sleep without a blanket, how to protect yourself from the monsters. Story 1. Become friends with the monsters. Leave some whiskey and cheese crackers out on summer nights. Monsters love whiskey and cheese crackers. Story 2. I sleep with a blanket, but my feet cannot be under it. I even let them hang off the bed sometimes. So occasionally, I wake up when the monsters are nibbling on them. I yell at them to knock it off. They are mostly obedient. Sometimes I need to use a few band-aids in the morning, but I can live with that. Story 3. Light sleeper that I am, I hear the closet door slowly slide. If I were to crack an eye open, I'd see the Lovecraftian monstrosity heave its way into the room, moving in a direction that I'm normally unaware of. But tonight, I can't be bothered. It's been a long day. The nightmare clears its throat and spits into my dirty laundry. After a long moment, it says, "You grilled steak and chicken out on the deck." I did. Got anything raw left? Something you didn't cook? Or at least seared as rare as an honest priest? Its voice sounds like gargling granite in cheap whiskey that's on fire. I messed. Up the steak, they're a bunch of tasteless blocks of carbon and regret. Your buddy might like them. It makes a minor chord sucking breath through its teeth. How about pie? Got any pie? Huh, yeah, I do. Pecan. Meg brought it over. Half left. It's all yours. Gives me heartburn. The room's quiet for a long time, so it catches me by surprise when it asks, "You're still not over her, are you? Just go get some pie." Story 4. I have a cat. If I hear something or wake up from a bad dream and the cat is still sleeping, then I know I'm safe. I did see her sitting on the bed, staring into a dark corner once though. Story 5. I have a built-in monitoring system, so if one approaches my naked body while I'm asleep, the system kicks on and it sends fart bombs at the monsters. Story 6. Dragons, man. I find it fascinating that so many cultures have some sort of dragon mythology and artwork, yet they don't seem to exist. Seems suspicious. Story 7. Oh, great question. Also, how can anyone sleep with arms or legs hanging over the bed when jaws under your bed can get you? Story 8. At some point you realize the real monsters were the friends we made along the way. And the cold brings emotional clarity. Story 9. I have a stuffed crocodile by my bed. His name is Gork, and he's educated in home security, dream management, and monster attack preventions. He does everything according to protocol. There has been no incident since Gork was hired to my home. Therefore, I feel safe and secure. Story 10. I assert my dominance over them by getting naked and circling the bed 5 times. Odd numbers mean I'm sane. Even numbers will eventually lead me into madness. Story 11. I sleep fully private pictures. They nope right the fudge out when they see my trash bag filled with cornflakes looking jerk. Story 12. Body pillows. Body pillows everywhere. Excellent shields against the monsters, and with the right material of pillowcase are wonderfully cooling, unlike a blanket. I counted out of curiosity. I have 5 body pillows. 2 normal-sized and 3 kid-sized. I'd say send help, but I just want more, to be even more comfy and monster-proof. Answer: thank you. Everyone in my household calls me nuts because of how many pillows I have. I have 4 throw pillows under my body pillow for maximum support, 2 regular-sized pillows and 2 mini ones, and 2 kid-sized ones I use for optimal support while gaming and sleeping. Not to mention my huge stuffed cow and 4 other stuffies I sleep with. TBH, I think I need at least 2 more body pillows and another giant stuffy, but I'm all out of room. Also have 4 cats that take up a good chunk of my queen bed. Story 13. I drink warm, slightly heated water. The monsters have never bothered me. I am known to sleepwalk, though, so maybe that scares them away? Story 14. There's no monsters. My dad just checked under the bed and in the cupboards. When he doesn't check, I just have my face down because if I can't see the monsters can't see me. I don't believe in ghosts, but I have to think there's something to ghosts. Some echo or shadow of a person's energy or some shoot like that. X200B, I don't know, man. I wanted to say giant squids, but a bunch of people already said that. Monsters are just make-believe. The world is filled with people far worse than monsters. But I'm also a bear. So come at me, bro. Lol. Story 16. My cat sleeps on top of me or on my pillow. He has my back. Then through the day he sleeps, and I watch out for monsters for him. Story 17. It's actually the safest way. Your confidence scares them. If you sleep with a blanket, you show fear and risk hands or feet poking out in your weakened state for an easy target. Story 18. I just make really weird noises once I turn off the lights and growl a few times. Either the monster will hide under the bed and not come out, or it will take the blanket I kick to the floor and bundle up with it in my closet. His name is Tim. Story 19. I wrap myself in a blanket and hood it over my head and only leave enough room to see my TV. I have a fear of aliens and ghosts. Story 20. Frodo the cat curls up beside me. He is well aware that I can open cans' doors. He can't. Any monster who wants to get at me has to get past Frodo. Story 21. Drill a small hole in your head so the monsters can escape. A Dutch guy actually did this decades ago. Edit. Link. Bart Hughes' Wiki. Story 22. Protecting yourself from monsters implies the monsters actually want you. Some are secure enough in the knowledge that not even the monsters want them. I sleep like a baby. Story 23. Better question. How do you protect yourself from mosquitoes? In Georgia right now, it's total hell. Nothing helps. Story 24. I protect myself with my rampant horniness. Bards got nothing on me in terms of being monster fuckers. Monsters can't eat you if you fudge them so much they can't move. Story 25. Couldn't find a helpful answer here, so I will continue to use blankets as monster repellent, thank you. Story 26. Just cast a simple Petrificus spell that will keep them frozen in place for 12 hours. Honestly, Weasley, have you learned nothing yet? Story 27. Ken I had my first baby. I got out of the habit of needing a blanket for naps when we would nap together, with supervision. The comfort of a blanket didn't outweigh the danger of a blanket. The other benefit of a blanket being privacy, which becomes less important after having a parade of doctors examine you, spread eagle in a birthing bed. I do prefer a blanket, but I can manage a nap without one. Story 28. Closet light, closet light. And if you know where that quote is from, you're my new friend. Story 29. Honestly, unicorns? Not all magical and poops rainbows or anything? But a horse with a horn on its head like a rhino? I mean, they're both ungulates, so it's not out of the realm of something that could have evolved if there was a pressure towards horns on horses. Story 30. Thin piece of cloth called dohar chadar in India. It's like a blanket but very thin, for nights when it is very warm. Story 31. My dog nibbles at my toes. He lets me know my toes are vulnerable to attack from monsters, so I have to stay under covers at all times. Story 32. It takes at least a sheet to keep the monsters at bay. You never, ever dangle a foot or arm over the side. That's just asking for trouble. Story 33. We have a cat. No monsters gets past her furriness to get her people. She even camps out below the bed to make sure. Story 34. I rest easy, knowing that they are as hot and uncomfortable as I am. They won't move if they don't have to. Story 35. I have several cats. If I hear something, I assume it's one of them, complain into thin air, then go back to sleep. Story 36. When I was a kid, I imagined that I had a force field protecting my bed, and anytime I got scared, I would just say to myself, "It's okay. They can't get through the force field." Even as a grown-up, when I occasionally get spooked at night, I'll use that as a calming technique. Story 37. I sleep with a sheet only, but our puppies sleep on me, not beside, not cuddled up to. On, so I'm sure the monsters are terrified. No lie, we've rarely had a pet-free household all our adulthood, which I consider helpful since monster noises can be written off casually as a pet causing it. Story 38. If I sleep with a blanket, it'll be in my underwear. If I sleep with clothes, I don't use a blanket. In both circumstances, it'll usually sweat to passing. Story 34. I try to eat something high in fiber and/or from a Mexican restaurant before bed. My jerk muscles are very strong, so I can hold it all night. But should a monster happen to show up with nefarious intentions, I will just go face down, jerk up. As the monster approaches, contemplating its certain victory, I will then unleash the fury of liquid shoot unto the world. No entity, man or monster, would be able to withstand the literal shoot storm that I unleash upon them. Story 40. You clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am not in danger, OP. I am the monster. A guy sleeps without the blanket and is pulled under the bed by his legs. And you think that of me? No, I am the one who pulls them down. Story 41. Why would I want to protect myself? My monster gotta be the most loyal bastard out there to stick with me for 25 years. Story 42. I furiously self-care with sandpaper and look in the dark corner after I come and say, "That was for you." Story 43. I am done talking to traitors. He openly admitted to being a traitor. Pray sure that carries a passing sentence. Oh, what about the other people who haven't been proven wrong? Story 44. I fold my legs in a crisscross position and tuck my hands under my lower back. It's too hot for a blanket ADM. Story 45. See what looks like a weird campsite? They shouldn't mess with it because the wee folk will dislike them forever. Stories of how to treat the wee folk so they don't mess with you are just childhood memories of parental advice of how not to piss off the weird guy in the woods, distorted into myth over generations. Story 46. At this point, the monster is begging me to get some sleep. Any kind of sleep, if not for my well-being or its, but for my family and doggos. Story 47. Before getting into bed, you should look under the bed and in the closet. That should take care of it. Story 48. The better question is, without being confined to my blanket, how do the monsters protect themselves from me? Story 49. I keep the door closed and use blankets and pillows to make a small wall on the edge of my bed to stop the monsters from being able to reach my ankles. Any kind of small light source in the room also deters monsters. Story 50. I just think, okay, come get me motherfuckers, and dangle my feet for a bit, then rest knowing if they are there, they're pussies. Story 51. If any kind of monster ends up being real and having the balls to fudge with me when I'm getting my 2-hour power nap between shifts, I'll show them what it feels like to be a living fleshlight with all broken bones. Story 52. I was expecting some American to answer something like with my R-15 Glock, but the answer here are actually cool and funny. Story 53. Stuff the closet with tripwires and bombs, then set up an anti-personnel minefield under my bed, then weld my reinforced steel door into the wall of my nuclear fallout bunker, and sleep peacefully while the monsters suffer. Bigfoot. Someone in this subreddit talked about the Kraken being a really large squid that people saw, so Bigfoot could easily be the same deal. It could be Gigantopithecus, a prehistoric primate that was said to live in ancient China. Some other fossils from Thailand, Vietnam, and Indonesia have been found and could potentially be other types of Gigantopithecus. And if that's the case, then what if there were some in America as well, who survived their extinction for some unknown reason? However, they could be highly endangered, explaining why it's so rare for people to get a sighting. IDK. With a silver-coated longsword, a wooden stake, a bundle of garlic, and a talisman of cold forged iron, with an added pinch of luck and massive heaping of paranoia. Story 55. Rocks. I sleep with rocks on my headboard. That defends against most monsters, cause they'll realize I must be crazy and not worth their time. Wouldn't defend against SCP-072, but thank goodness my bed isn't infected with that. Yet? Story 56. I draw a little male body part all over my body before bed, so if the monsters do touch me, they be gay. Story 57. I also sleep buck naked. They see what they're creeping on, and either get scared or repulsed. Probably the latter. Either way, it works for me. Story 58. Hire 32 armed guards using medieval weapons to beat the hell out of the monsters. Then I sell their organs. Story 59. I keep my closet closed and have lights that are not only under my bed, but around my room. My gecko's terrarium makes my room hot and kinda red, so my lights are on a low blue to contrast it. And I have Fart. Fart's my dog who is very silly, but if eye contact is broken, he is going for your legs. Finally, there's my ceiling fork. Because I will be off my meds at night, that means an unmedicated ADHD person with a fork is a dangerous mix. Story 60. I often say a prayer and mention my mother as an offering. She wakes easily though, so if I'm really scared, you'll start giving them instructions on how not to wake her. I wasn't very high at all when I had these fears, I swear. Story 61. Mentally, I just go full on Rorschach. None of you seem to understand. I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. Story 54. The adult beverage usually has me pass out with no worries about monsters. They're too concerned with holding on for dear life while the room spins. Story 63. Because I'm not the one sleeping there with them. They're the ones sleeping in there with me. Rorschach. Story 64. What makes you think they want to protect themselves? I do this every night so that a succubus can come and have intimacy with me. Story 65. I thought it was well known monsters can onoi get you if you turn your back to them, or hang body Awarta off the bed. Story 66. I found a product on the internet that promised me to keep the monsters away as long as I put it on my windows. It's called a mosquito net. Story 67. My dog sleeps with me in the bed, and not only is she protective of me, she also farts and leaves her hair all over my room. No monster would want to hang around in my room even if they weren't at risk of my dog eating them. Story 68. In summer, I sleep without blankets quite often. I've been waiting for monsters and none have come. I think they just see my pasty, flabby body sweating a top filth mottled sheets and grimace for a moment before reconsidering. Story 69. Cats. There was a cat in the home when I was born. I've continued to have at least one cat in the home for my entire life ever since. In fact, I have two right now. When I hear a bump in the night, I already know that it's just the cats. It's always been the cats, even when I was a baby, and in knowing just how cuddly and precious those kitties are, it's only ever comforting. Story 70. It's weird. When I was younger, there was no way an arm or leg could be caught outside the linen or comforter. Now, as I'm older, an arm just has to be outside the blanket, or I can't sleep. Story 71. There are people who are actually like this still? Well, I sleep with a stuffed monster. Fight fire with fire. Story 72. There's no need to worry about monsters. Besides, even if there were, they might be friendly monsters. Story 73. With no blanket, there is nothing to bridge the gap between the bed and the floor, so the monsters have nothing to use to pull themselves up onto the bed. Story 74. If any monsters want to mess with me, they are welcome to try. I will roll my 450 lb jerk over on them and fart on their face. Story 75. Cats repel monsters. They also protect you from submarine-infested mattresses. I've had dreams of Soviet-attack submarines floating around in my mattress, but the cat catches them all. Story 76. As long as you're wearing socks, the witch at the end of the bed won't tickle the bottoms of your feet. Story 77. Have dog, is good boy, barks at anything that moves. Even me. Scares me shitless sometimes. Still worth. Story 78. I make sure to maintain eye contact with the dark corner of my room while rubbing on out before bed every night. Story 79. Is this the fate of Reddit when all the third-party app users leave? I'm already seeing so many stupid comment chains, and now this stupid shoot. Story 80. Keep a rifle by your side, and by God, you will never have to worry about anything ever again. Joking. Story 81. You have to purify the space with sage-infused smudge sticks before bed and then leave some incense burning in a safe holder. You essentially make a blanket out of your entire room. Be very careful with the smudge sticks and incense, though. Having your house burned down is almost as bad as being eaten by monsters.